The news that young Master Jiang's white moonlight had returned to China hit me right in the middle of brushing my teeth. My phone buzzed on the sink. I squinted at the screen, and sure enough, my chubby childhood friend had sent me a voice message. "Elliot, big news, man. I just saw Miles Shen at the airport, dragging a huge suitcase, looking all cool and polished." My hand slipped, and I nearly choked on my toothpaste foam. Miles Shen. That name. To young Master Adrian Jiang, it was like a switch. Just saying it could make his eyes melt into a puddle of spring water. I haven't seen that reaction myself in the past 3 years, but believe me, I've heard plenty about that white moonlight from the man himself. 3 years ago, that same Miles Shen, ticket in hand and heart full of freedom, called me out before flying off to America. With an expression of noble melancholy, he entrusted his precious Adrian to me. And by entrusted, I mean he handed me a very generous check. Back then, Miles Shen stirred his coffee with that elegant frown of his, looking every bit the tragic romantic hero. "Elliot," he said seriously, "I'm really afraid that once I'm gone, Adrian will get fooled by the wrong people. But you're different. You're reliable. Take this money and look after him. Don't let any random cat or dog get close. Maybe then he'll still be waiting when I come back." I looked at the check and thought, why does this sound less like looking after a friend and more like being hired as a top-tier security guard? Before I could say a word, Miles Shen shoved the check into my hands. When I glanced down, it took me a good while just to count all the zeros. Brother Miles," I said weakly. "Why me?" "Elliot, the three of us went to college together. You're the only one I can trust right now." So, like the loyal little sidekick I was destined to be, I nodded like a pecking chicken. "Don't worry, Brother Miles. I'll complete the mission. I'll make sure not even a female fly gets close to young Master Jiang." Miles Shen smiled, patted my shoulder, and added cheerfully, "No male flies either. I know it's a tough job." "Tough? Not at all. You pay me, I protect your man. Seems fair." So for the past 3 years, I've done my job too well. When Miles Shen first left, Adrian Jiang drowned himself in bars every night. Guess who carried him home every single time? Whenever anyone showed even the slightest interest in him, man or woman, I cut that off before it even started. He had business dinners, I blocked the drinks. He got drunk, I dragged him home. He fell sick, I stayed by his bedside. Bad mood, I became his personal therapist. And somewhere along the way, we even slept together. A few times. So much that he actually asked me more than once if I was secretly into him. Heavens above, would I dare? Now, as I rinse my mouth and splash cold water on my face, the news finally sinks in. "Hey, Tony," I say over the phone, "that art museum job you mentioned before, was it in City B or City C?" There's a pause. "City B. Why? You're thinking of taking it? Didn't you say it was too far?" "You don't get it. Miles Shen's back. I need to make myself scarce, fast. The rightful boyfriend has returned, and as the loyal guardian of love, my shift has officially ended." Turning back toward my apartment, I start packing immediately. This rental place, paid for with Miles Shen's money, right across the hall from Adrian Jiang's apartment. Perfect for keeping an eye on him. Not stalking, monitoring. Now that Miles Shen's back, no reason to keep paying rent. I can save some cash. I don't have much stuff anyway. Most of what's here was gifted by Adrian Jiang. My own belongings barely fill half of a 28-inch suitcase. I neatly separate what's mine from what he gave me, then shove everything into the case as fast as I can. The last thing I want is to bump into Adrian Jiang on my way out. Just as I'm zipping up my suitcase, there's a knock on the door. My heart skips a beat. Oh no. Speak of the devil, literally. Adrian Jiang pushed the door open, a chill from outside clinging to his coat. He was wearing a black overcoat today, which made his already striking features even sharper, handsome enough to make anyone's heart skip. But as usual, his brows were furrowed, that signature frown of his giving away his mood. His eyes landed on the suitcase by my feet, then swept over to the bag beside it, the one filled with things he'd bought for me. His expression darkened instantly. "Elliot." His voice sounded calm, but after following him around for years, I could hear the irritation simmering beneath it. "You going somewhere far?" I zipped up the suitcase, straightened my back, and nodded politely. "Mr. Jiang, I found a job as a tour guide at the art museum in City B. I'll be moving there for work. It's actually closer to where my parents live, too, so..." He took 2 slow steps forward, and the pressure in the air thickened. His hand came down on my waist, firm and possessive. "Didn't you say just yesterday that you'd move in with me in a few days? Now you're suddenly leaving?" What's that supposed to mean? I quickly pushed him away, keeping a safe distance. I just thought, it's been, 3 or 4 years since graduation. I can't keep floating around with no direction. My friend introduced me to this job and I thought, before I could even finish, his face turned darker and he cut me off sharply. What kind of job do you think I can't find for you? You really have to run off that far. Who's in City B, Elliot? You've always liked photography, haven't you? I can set you up with your own studio. Bring your parents over too. You can just move in with me, and I'll buy this apartment tomorrow for your parents to live in. His words came like rapid fire. I stumbled back 3 steps, throwing my hands up in a stop right there gesture. Hold up, Mr. Jiang. It's just a temp job. What temp job? What's going on with you? Last night you were calling me Adrian in bed, and now I'm back to being Mr. Jiang? Before he could finish, his phone rang. He glanced down, and I saw his expression harden. Stay right here, he said coldly. Don't you dare go anywhere. I'll deal with you when I get back. Then, with a sharp flick of his coat, he turned and walked out, leaving behind a gust of cold air and me frozen in place. But not before I caught a glimpse of the caller ID lighting up on his screen, Miles Shen. Saying I didn't feel anything would be a lie. My chest tightened, but I couldn't even figure out what exactly I was feeling. It's always been like this, ever since college. Adrian could drop anything, anyone, for Miles. I've always known that. They were the perfect pair, the ones who belonged together. I stared at the closed door, a lump forming in my throat. It felt like someone had stuffed my chest with cotton, soft but suffocating. For reasons I couldn't explain, my feet refused to move. I stayed there. I waited all night. The darkness outside faded to gray, then pale white, and still no sign of him. My phone stayed silent, except for a few messages from Tony asking if I'd left yet. I didn't reply. Well, I got the message loud and clear. The white moonlight was back, and I was officially out of the picture. A dull ache twisted in my chest. I slapped myself lightly on the cheek and muttered, Elliot Hayes, wake up. Since when did you start thinking you were special? By the time dawn brushed the sky, I grabbed my suitcase, opened the door, and glanced one last time at the tightly closed door across the hall. Then I turned away and walked downstairs. City B wasn't far, just 2 hours by train. Tony was already waiting at the station when I arrived. He took one look at my face, sighed, and didn't ask a thing. Instead, he dragged me straight to lunch. So, he said between bites, what happened? You actually ran off? I downed half a bottle of water, burped, and sighed. Don't ask. I've been officially laid off from the position of guardian of love. Time to start a new job. Tony shook his head but didn't pry further. He was the only one who really knew the situation between the 3 of us. The new job at the art museum turned out to be peaceful. Being a guide wasn't hard work. I just rambled about the paintings to visitors, which was a hell of a lot easier than dealing with Adrian Zhang's unpredictable moods. I rented a small 1-bedroom place not far from the museum. Life settled into a quiet, predictable rhythm. Sometimes my phone screen would light up with his name, Adrian Zhang. I'd stare at it until it went dark again. He kept calling. Over and over. Eventually, I just set my phone to silent. And later, he stopped calling. That's how it should be. Bridges go back to bridges, roads go back to roads. We each go our separate ways. A few days later, during my lunch break, I got a call from Miles Shen. My brain hesitated, but my hand betrayed me. It pressed answer before I could stop it. My throat felt dry. The last time I spoke to him was 3 years ago, when he handed me that fat check and his entrustment. Funny how different I felt now. Before I could say anything, another voice came through the line. Adrian Zhang's. Miles, have you been waiting long? No, I just got here. I ordered a few dishes. Tell me if they suit your taste. Everything you order is something I like. How could it not suit me? I froze. What the hell was Miles doing? Calling me just to flaunt his love life? I mean, come on. I'd moved halfway across the country. How could I possibly still be in their way? On the other end, the 2 of them kept chatting casually. My hand wanted to hang up, but my brain refused. I just sat there listening, the seconds on the call timer climbing higher and higher. You've got dark circles under your eyes again, Miles said gently. Didn't sleep well? Adrian snorted. Elliot ran off while I was at the airport picking you up. Took all his luggage. Didn't answer a single call. I swear, I was so mad it made my liver hurt. Oh, right. Don't you still have his number? Maybe you should call him. I need to give that brat a piece of my mind. There was a pause. When Miles finally spoke, his voice was calm but edged with something I couldn't place. I do have his number. But before that, I really want to know what exactly happened between you two while I was gone these 3 years. Silence. Thick, heavy silence. Then Adrian's voice came, lazy as always, but with a dangerous undertone. That kid liked me. Chased after me, actually. At first, I didn't agree to anything, but he was so damn persistent. You don't know, he even moved into the apartment right across from mine just to get close to me. Eventually, I gave in. Told him he could move in with me a few days ago, and the idiot got scared and ran away. My heart stopped. Adrian Jiang, are you insane? Who in their right mind confesses to being in a relationship right in front of their white moonlight? I didn't even have to imagine it. Miles Shen's expression right now was probably a kaleidoscope of emotions. Then, to my horror, I heard him laugh. A quiet, low laugh that somehow sent a chill down my spine. Miles's voice softened, laced with something almost apologetic. Adrian, there's something I think I should tell you. What is it? Elliot, he wasn't following you around because he liked you, or to chase you. He was doing it because I paid him a large sum of money. The words hit me like a punch to the chest. On the phone, I heard the clatter of a glass tipping over. Adrian's voice, now stripped of all its usual arrogance, came out sharp and tense. What did you just say? When I left back then, Miles continued, I was worried about you, worried you'd get involved with the wrong kind of people. So I asked Elliot to look after you, to keep you company. As payment, I gave him a check. He agreed right away. Miles sighed softly. I know you probably feel differently about him now, but I couldn't keep this from you any longer. You deserve to know. A loud crash came through the line. Plates shattering, followed by the sound of footsteps and startled voices. Probably waiters rushing over. Enough, Miles, Adrian said, his tone ice cold. I don't appreciate jokes like that. Not from anyone. Not even you. Do you really think I'd joke about something like this? Miles replied steadily. That check still exists. You can have someone verify it, or you can go straight to Elliot and ask him yourself. He's a good kid, Adrian. He kept his word and took care of you. I doubt he'd ever lie about that. My mind went blank. Half my face felt numb, my heart pounding so hard it hurt. I never thought Miles would tell Adrian the truth. I honestly believed that once I left, the whole thing would fade away quietly, buried in the past. Yes, I did take that check. That much was true. And that was why my face burned hot with shame even now. But I hadn't done anything wrong. I'd done what he'd asked me to do. I'd protected Adrian, cared for him, even sacrificed more than I should have. Now that Miles was back, I'd stepped aside, just like I was supposed to. So why dig this all up now? What did he want? Was he trying to make Adrian hate me? Because if there's one thing I know for sure, it's that once Adrian Jiang learns the truth, he'll hate me for the rest of his life. Even though I never once said I liked him, never confessed, never even hinted at it, he still managed to twist my every action into proof of affection. In his eyes, my care became pursuit, my presence became love. And now, he must think I'm nothing but a liar. No wonder. Adrian Jiang's voice, though distant through the phone, carried the chill of rage. No wonder that kid was always at my beck and call these past 3 years. Blocking drinks, taking punches, never complaining. Looks like you paid him well. So well that he didn't even mind going along with the rest. I thought it was mutual. That maybe somehow we'd fallen into it naturally. Turns out he was just doing his damn job. No wonder he said he was a temp worker before he left. So that's what he meant. His laugh was sharp, hollow. Miles Shen, you really outdid yourself. Miles's voice softened, cautious, almost pleading. Adrian, I only did this because I didn't want you to get hurt. We what? Adrian cut him off coldly. Miles, thank you for telling me, and thank you for that favor back then, the one that made me fall for Elliot Hayes. As for you and me, there was never a beginning, so there doesn't need to be an ending. We'll just stay what we've always been, friends. Adrian was saying something else, but Miles quickly ended the call. And just like that, the line went dead. The heat from my phone screen slowly faded, but it still wasn't as hot as my face. I sat there, numb, fingers trembling, the echo of their conversation still ringing in my ears. Adrian's mix of anger and heartbreak, Miles's gentle honesty, both of them hit me right where I didn't want to feel anything. Miles probably thought he was doing the right thing, forcing me to face reality. But instead, his cleverness had backfired spectacularly. People are selfish creatures. I won't deny it, my heart was pounding like crazy. And despite everything, a shameful part of me wanted to go back. But I didn't have the guts. Just imagining the look on Adrian's face if I stood in front of him again, his fury, his disbelief, his wounded pride, was enough to make my knees go weak. He's the kind of man who could swallow insults, but not betrayal. And especially not from someone like me, his so-called loyal sidekick. Going back would be like walking straight into the lion's den and asking to be eaten alive. I sighed, forcing myself to shake off the storm in my head. Then I slipped on my museum staff vest and went back to work. And just like that, life turned its next page quietly, without drama, without waves. City B moved at a slower rhythm than the one I'd left behind. The museum smelled faintly of old wood and turpentine, the kind of air that stretched time itself. Tony dropped by now and then, always with barbecue skewers and beer. He never mentioned Adrian, not once. Instead, he'd talk about the best restaurants in town or which park had the prettiest girls. I knew he was trying to protect me from the weight of my own thoughts, and I was grateful, more than I could say. As for Adrian Zhang, after that storm of a phone call, the world seemed to go quiet. No more calls, no messages, nothing. My phone remained silent, completely silent. Sometimes I'd see his name, not on my screen but in the news. Zhang Holdings' young master acquires major supermarket chain. I'd stare at the headline for a moment, then scroll past it. He was moving forward, I guess. Probably still angry, too. With his pride, he must have thought I was the one who'd done wrong, that I owed him an apology, that I'd come crawling back eventually. But I didn't. We became two stubborn fools, standing on opposite sides of an invisible river, each waiting for the other to make the first move. And just like that, a whole year slipped by in silence. The work at the art museum wasn't complicated, and most of my coworkers were easygoing. One of them, a young man named James, joined around the same time I did and worked as an assistant in curation. He was cheerful, casual in that typical artsy way, and since we were about the same age, and both obsessed with the local food scene, we quickly became close. James knew I was from City A and would sometimes ask about life there. He'd never been, he said, but planned to visit the capital next year. After work, we'd occasionally grab dinner at a small restaurant nearby, or catch a movie on weekends. Around him, I made myself forget everything about my past in City A. He noticed I didn't like talking about it, so he never pressed. The mutual understanding between us made it surprisingly comfortable. I could tell he liked me, a little more than just friends, but I always kept the right distance. I joked around, teased him, but never took a single step forward, because I knew that on the other side of that invisible river, someone else was still standing there. Even after a year, even with no contact between us, that person's shadow still lingered in some corner of my heart, rising without warning and stirring everything inside me. That afternoon, I was explaining a classical oil painting to a group of elementary school kids when, out of the corner of my eye, I saw a familiar figure enter the gallery. My heart lurched violently. I thought I was imagining it. I blinked, looked again, and there he was, Adrian Jiang. He looked as travel-worn as ever, but that natural aristocratic aura of his hadn't faded at all. He stood at the entrance of the hall, and his gaze, sharp, direct, found me almost immediately. The distance was too far, and he was standing against the backlight, so I couldn't see his expression, but I could feel it. He was staring at me. A whole year apart, yet my heart still shot straight into the clouds at 120 kilometers per hour the second I saw him. I forced myself to pull away, continuing my explanation to the kids with a slightly trembling voice. Everyone, look here. The artist used warm tones to show that. He didn't walk over. He just stood there. But his presence alone made the entire gallery feel suffocating. The air grew thin, my lungs tight. Finally, the tour ended. The children scampered off, chattering. I tried to slip away, practically tripping over my own feet, heading toward the staff room. Elliot! His voice stopped me cold. I froze, then slowly turned around, forcing a smile that was more painful than crying. Mr. Jiang, what brings you here? He walked toward me, step by slow step, each one landing squarely on my chest. His eyes swept over my staff vest, and that faint, unreadable smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Came to see you, he said calmly. His tone gave away nothing. Seems you're doing pretty well here. It's okay, I stammered. Just then, James came out from the back, carrying a pile of documents. Without thinking, he slung an arm around my shoulders and said casually, Elliot, you're done. Come on, let's go. Remember that new Yunnan restaurant we talked about? If we go late, we'll have to line up. Only after speaking did he notice the man standing in front of us. He paused, then offered a friendly smile. Oh, hello? And you are? The air temperature dropped instantly. Adrian's gaze sharpened like a blade, sweeping between me and James, and finally landing on the shoulder James had just touched. He didn't say a word. But the atmosphere around us turned so heavy it made it hard to breathe. My scalp tingled with panic, and I hurried to introduce them. This is Adrian Jiang. He's an old friend, and this is my coworker, James. Friend? Adrian repeated softly. He looked James up and down, eyes narrowing. A bad feeling shot straight through me. I stepped quickly in front of James, blocking Adrian's line of sight. James didn't seem to notice the strange tension in the air and cheerfully asked, "Since you're Elliot's friend, do you want to join us?" "No." Adrian rejected him instantly, eyes never leaving my face. "I'm here for Elliot." James looked at me, then at Adrian, and seemed to understand something. He nodded. "All right then, you two talk. Elliot, call me later." He walked off with his stack of documents, leaving me alone with Adrian, and the air instantly grew heavier. "Coworker? You two seem pretty close." Adrian's tone was sour enough to pickle vegetables. "We're just coworkers," I said quickly. "Just coworkers who go out for dinner? Who put their arm around you?" He stepped closer, his breath brushing my forehead hair. "Elliot, did you run all the way here for him?" "What the hell are you talking about?" I snapped. "Who gave him the right to barge in and interrogate me like I was cheating on him?" "I'm talking nonsense?" Adrian's eyes darkened with anger. "Your buddy told me everything, said you've been dating some young, handsome coworker here and living your best sweet little life. No wonder you didn't want to come back or answer my calls." "Buddy? Tony, that deadweight traitor. When did he add so much oil to the fire?" "We're just friends. You actually believe Tony's nonsense?" My voice shot up almost an octave. "Friends, huh?" Adrian clearly didn't buy it. He grabbed my wrist, hard enough to make the bones ache. "Elliot, you took Miles's money and lied to me for 3 years. Now you want to lie to me again? Do you really think I'm an idiot who deserves to be played by you?" The word money stabbed straight into the softest, rawest part of my heart. A whole year of fear, humiliation, and unspoken longing erupted all at once, and burst into flames. I tore my wrist out of his grip, eyes burning red as I shouted, "Yes! I took the money. 3 years ago, Miles wrote me a check so I could watch over you and keep random people away from you, and I took it. So what? Why couldn't I take it?" Adrian froze, shocked by my outburst. "But let me tell you something, Adrian Jiang." I was done holding back. The words came pouring out like a dam breaking. "I paid him back. Every last cent. Right before he returned, I gave it all back. Yeah, I like money, but I'm not trash. Doing a job for money is one thing, but I choked. I couldn't say the rest. How could I tell him? How could I say that somewhere along the way? The care, the nights, the softness, the moments we lost control, none of that had anything to do with money anymore. Adrian's pupils shrank, shock flickering across his face. "You paid him back? What else did you think?" My breathing was shaky, my eyes hot. The moment he came back, I returned it. Otherwise, what would that make me? I watched over you for 3 years. Yeah, at first it was for money, but later, my face felt like it was on fire. I grabbed my bag and turned to leave. I couldn't take this anymore. But just then, a soft, gentle voice cut in. "He's telling the truth." Adrian and I whipped our heads around. Miles Shen was standing just a few steps away, wearing a beige trench coat, elegant and refined just like 4 years ago, looking exactly like the white moonlight who'd changed everything. Standing in front of the two of them, I felt smaller than ever, just like back in college, always the tag-along, the little follower no one really noticed. Miles Shen stepped closer and looked at Adrian Jiang, speaking with a calm steadiness. "Adrian, Elliot did return that check to me, right before I came back to the country." Adrian froze completely. He looked at Miles, then at me. The fury in his expression dissolved into shock and something close to confusion. Miles let out a quiet sigh and turned to me with an apologetic look. "Elliot, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have given you money back then, and I shouldn't have exposed everything the moment I returned. It was selfish of me. I panicked. I left for 3 years, and when I came back and saw the two of you together, I lost my composure. So I tried to make Adrian hate you, hoping he'd come back to me." He gave a small, bitter laugh. "But I never expected it would backfire. This year, I've seen things clearly. The person Adrian cares about is you. And as for me," he paused, voice softening, "I should have let go long ago." Then he looked back at Adrian, sincere and composed. "We grew up together, and what I felt for you was real. But time changes people. I was the one who let go first. so I have no right to keep you standing still. Watching you these past months, angry, depressed, traveling all this way just to find him, I finally understood. I truly lost you. So, I wish you both well." After saying that, he nodded politely to us and walked out of the museum. His posture was still upright, still elegant, but there was a lightness in his back that felt like a final goodbye. Suddenly, it was just the two of us again. Miles's appearance had thrown me into confusion, and hearing his confession made guilt surge through me like a tide. Watching his silhouette fade in the distance, I couldn't snap myself out of it. "What are you staring at him for?" Adrian abruptly stepped in front of me, blocking my view. "I just feel like a shameless thief," I said quietly, staring at my shoes. "Like I stole something precious from him." He stared at me for a few seconds. Then his voice rose, incredulous and heated. "What kind of nonsense is that? I was the one who fell for you first. If you stole anything, it was my heart." A surprised laugh slipped out of me. Hearing such a cheesy line come out of the mouth of the young master who frequently appeared in finance news, I wondered what his company's fans would think if they heard him. "Elliot." His voice dropped, rough with emotion, as he cautiously took a step closer. I didn't know you'd returned the money. I thought you stayed by my side only because of Miles, not because you actually liked me. I didn't know. I'm sorry." That one quiet "I'm sorry" shattered every bit of strength I'd been holding on to. My eyes burned, and then the tears finally spilled over. "You bastard," I choked out, my voice breaking. "You never ask anything. You just judge me on your own. Then chase me all the way here just to yell at me." "Yes, I'm a bastard. I'm stupid." He reached out to wipe my tears. I dodged, but he didn't get angry. He simply tried again, gently brushing the wetness from my cheeks with fingers soft enough to wring water from. I was furious. When Miles said you only stayed because of money, I snapped. I couldn't stand the thought that everything between us was fake, and this whole year I've been suffering too. I thought you left because you were ashamed, because you didn't want to face me after being exposed, and when I heard you found someone new so quickly. His voice trembled. "No one. I didn't find anyone." I glared at him through red-rimmed eyes. "James and I are completely innocent." I know. He nodded furiously, though the corner of his mouth twitched with a hint of amusement. "That idiot Tony exaggerated things. I'll deal with him later." Then he looked at me. Really looked at me. With eyes deep and unguarded, like he wanted to pull me straight into him. "Then you tell me," he said softly. "If it wasn't for money, why were you still so good to me those 3 years? Why did you agree to move in with me and then run away the next day?" His gaze pinned me in place. "If you didn't like me, then what was it?" His directness left me nowhere to hide. My face burned. My hands tightened around my bag. My heart hammered like it was trying to break free from my chest. A whole year had passed. I thought I'd moved on. I thought I could start a new life without looking back. But the moment he appeared again, the moment every misunderstanding cleared, I realized that feeling never disappeared at all. I had only buried it, forced it down under layers of fear and inferiority. I sniffed, my voice barely above a whisper. It really did start because of the money. I felt guilty, so I wanted to do the job well. But later I just got used to it. Used to what? He tilted my chin up, forcing me to meet his burning gaze. Under his eyes, every wall I'd built collapsed like paper. I shut my eyes hard and practically yelled out, "Used to liking you, all right? Used to orbiting around you. Used to you scolding me for every little thing, so used to it that even without the money, I couldn't stop wanting to be good to you. But who am I? Huh? Since college, I've been the tag-along next to you two. And your heart was always full of Miles Shen. He came back. Was I supposed to stay and watch you two ride off into the sunset?" By the end, my ears were ringing from my own voice. My teeth sank into my bottom lip so hard they hurt. Adrian stared at me, completely stunned. Then something bright and fierce lit up in his eyes. He yanked me into his arms, gripping my waist so tightly I thought he might crush me. I tried to push him away. This was still my workplace, but his strength was ridiculous. He didn't budge at all. "Idiot. You big idiot." He growled in my ear, voice trembling. "Yeah, I liked Miles before. But that was the past. He left for 3 years. And the one who stayed with me was you. It was you, Elliot, the one who carried me home when I was drunk, who bought me medicine at 2 a.m., who listened to all my ranting without complaint. My heart isn't made of stone. I fell for you without even noticing." He cupped my face, pressing his forehead to mine, our breaths mingling. And when I asked you to move in with me, it was because I knew the person I wanted to spend my life with was you. No one else. I came to tell you that day, and you vanished. This entire year, I nearly went insane thinking about you. I stared at him, really stared at the raw, unhidden affection shining in his eyes. My brain short-circuited. I didn't even know how to respond. "Are you serious?" I asked, voice small. "You want me to swear?" He met my eyes without flinching. "Elliot Hayes, I'm stuck on you for life. It was my fault. I didn't realize my feelings earlier, and I didn't give you enough security. But that ends now. I'm never letting you go again." The moment Tony said something felt off, I dropped everything and rushed right over. I let out a wet laugh and smacked his chest lightly. "Stop acting like you crossed the ocean. It's just a 2-hour train ride." I muttered it under my breath, but the smile tugging my lips gave me away. His shoulders relaxed. He even laughed. Then he leaned down and gently kissed my forehead, testing the waters. When I didn't push him away, he pressed a soft, lingering kiss against my lips. This kiss held no misunderstandings, no money, no lies. Only long-delayed truth and the warmth of something found again. I stayed in City B until the end of my contract with the museum. In the meantime, Adrian began his insane A City B City routine, calling it his courting schedule, claiming he had to supervise me so I wouldn't run again, or worse, run off with someone else. James laughed when I introduced Adrian as my boyfriend. He congratulated us sincerely and clarified, very loudly, that he never once had improper thoughts about me, that our relationship was pure, revolutionary friendship. Adrian became so pleased he almost called him brother. As for Tony, Adrian disciplined him thoroughly. Tony came crying to me, swearing he only wanted to provoke Adrian a bit, and didn't expect things to spiral into a full-blown war. Miles Shen eventually went abroad again to continue his work. During holidays, we'd get casual greetings from him. Gentle, distant, all of us moving on with our own lives. A year later, I returned to City A. Not as a guardian, not as a sidekick, but as Adrian Zhang's acknowledged boyfriend, and as co-founder of the independent photography studio we built together. At first, I didn't want to accept. I didn't want our relationship to get tangled up in money again. But he insisted, again and again, saying he hoped the person he loved could do what he truly enjoyed. Eventually, I invested all my savings and demanded it be a formal partnership. Only then did I finally agree. That day, the sunlight was beautiful. I stood inside our freshly renovated studio, adjusting a camera lens when Adrian slipped his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on my shoulder. "Elliot, looks like you're really tied to me now," he murmured with a grin. "No running away." I put the camera down and looked back at him. Sunlight edged his face in gold. He looked impossibly beautiful. I smiled. "I'm not running. Besides, this job isn't temporary anymore." He blinked, then finally realized what I was teasing him about. He couldn't help leaning down to kiss me, mumbling against my lips, "Don't say temporary ever again. You're my lifelong partner."